Many young people are concerned about getting a job. Uh, Very understandable. And many also like studying the psychology of nonviolence. And I see quite a few of those every year. Um, but those students who are in my class don't they don't see a career path leading out of my course. And it's always worth having a little discussion with them about how many careers basically involve the practice of nonviolence and depend on having a good knowledge of it. Um, so let me just mention a few quickly. I won't go into great detail, but let me just talk first about diplomacy, where your employer might be the State Department or the United Nations. And in diplomacy, think about what they do. They use words, not weapons. This is not the Defense Department or the War Department. This is the department that negotiates treaties, that opens lines of communication between people who are in conflict. And the achievements of diplomats include the prevention of a lot of wars. I wish we came out of high school being able to list not only 5 wars off the top of our head, but 5 wars that were prevented by good diplomacy. So that's one career domain or path. Another is mediation. And there's an agency of the American government, the U.S. Mediation Service, that offers the services of mediators who basically act like the third the third person in a conflict, the one that both sides can talk to, and the one who tries to remain emotionally neutral. Um, Often it's useful just to be the third person, just to allow the parties that are in conflict not to have to talk to each other, which of course they don't want to do. Um, there are lawyers who offer mediation services as part of their practice. So following a career path into law has opportunities in it for practicing nonviolence along this line. There are different kinds of negotiation. There are careers in the labor movement, in business, and in law again that involve negotiation. The skills overlap a lot with mediation because mediation is often used to facilitate negotiation, especially collective bargaining situations between labor and management. Um, the You have to have a model of negotiation, of course, but there's a very good one that maps well onto nonviolence in the King tradition, and that's the principled negotiation approach of Roger Fisher and his colleagues. And I've seen that used in mediation, uh, where the mediator uh, himself or herself will come out and say, we're going to use a principled negotiation approach here. And that's very prominent in any professional negotiation situations. The skills that are relevant in negotiation are relevant in many situations and many occupations. If you think about how new employees are trained initially when they start work for a company that sells products to the public or that involves dealing with customers, that training on how to behave and how to present the face of the company to those customers looks a lot like nonviolence training light. It it involves um, trying to understand what the customer needs, trying to address those needs using the resources of your company, um, and so on. a lot of the face-to-face skills are recognizably nonviolent skills. Um, Conflict de-escalation is in the news a lot these days because there's a strong movement toward community policing in many places in the United States and in other countries. And de-escalation of conflicts involves skills that look a lot like nonviolence training. Uh, the the skills generalize. I think someone who has gone through de-escalation training as a result, but sort of as a side issue, as a sidebar, becomes better at dealing with family conflicts and has skills that they know are likely to be effective with anybody, like lowering your voice, using the other person's first name, showing the kind of respect that the other person uh, virtually always needs in a situation where they're upset, and so on. Um, let's see, many organizations have a person called an ombudsman, and that's a person that employees and members of the organization community can go to with problems and complaints and with reports of conflict between them and other people, or as a third person reporting that two other employees are at odds with each other. An ombudsman tries to be a neutral party and a judicial advisor. Often they are empowered to make decisions, in which case they're acting kind of as an arbitrator. But these roles, they all seem to have a foundation that is, if you apply another name to it, it's nonviolence. And it's nonviolence applied to practical needs in the business world, in the government, in family life, in many spheres that we are engaged in. And that shouldn't be surprising, but I think often it is, simply because there's so much avoidance of the word nonviolence and the concept of nonviolence. And there's so many misconceptions about it. But in reality, there are several career tracks that you can take if you're really excited about nonviolence and its view of human nature and the practical skills that it involves. And if the values that nonviolence represents are part of you, then there you go. It has not only ideals and values that are really in every person's heart somewhere, but also practical skills and a view of how you deal with other people that has teeth to it, in the sense that this is the way to get things done. Um, so, more generally, probably in any career where you're dealing with other people or where you have to take account of other people's needs or where you are dependent on other people to be consumers of what you produce or of what you write, or what you create. Um, Nonviolence is a relevant foundation, and so that's some treatment of this concern about jobs and careers and where nonviolence can be used after graduation to carve out uh, a career path. I'll be back soon.